YOOOO and this is Lights, Camera, Action, and I'm here with my girl,
Courtney.
Okay. So we're obviously having a discussion. Obviously, you know, this is my podcast. We talk about a lot of different things. We talk about, you know what I'm saying, we discuss various things, obviously a lot of black things, which you see the black power fist in the background for me. So I brought my dog Courtney here because we gotta talk about some things. So my thing, what I've been noticing a lot, which I really like, is I've seen a lot of black cities popping up. So the first one, obviously, you know, Akon and his whole black city in Africa, which is amazing. You know, what Akon's doing in Africa is amazing, obviously. And then Boosie, Lil Boosie said he's buying land and he's trying to start his own black city, his own police and everything like that. And then I seen 19 families came together and bought 90 acres of land in Georgia to start their own black city. So Courtney, what do you think about these black families or black people trying to start their own black cities?
Honestly, I think it's a great idea. I think that it will reinforce confidence back into the black community. I feel like we lack that because we feel like, you know, other people have their own established, you know, places, cities, wherever. They keep their money within their community, and I feel like it'll be a good thing to grow the black community's money instead of constantly giving it to other, you know, races that don't really support us.
I totally agree with that. So here's my thing, right? You think about the Native Americans.
Right.
And the Native Americans, like, okay, so for people who don't know, I've, you know, worked at, you know, certain government locations. And like one thing I did notice is that Native Americans and just, you know, Asian community, stuff like that, whatever, a lot of times they're not in the prison system. Obviously, majority of prison people in the prison system obviously are black people. And then when I started looking into it, obviously living in Florida, you know how that is. I was wondering, like, dang, what's up with that? Like, why is there no Native Americans in the prison system? I know every Native American not a good person. Not say, you know, I'm not saying, you know, any of them are bad people, but it's just you never see them come through. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, with anything, slap on the wrist or anything. You know what I'm saying? So when I looked into it, I found out that they have their own police force on their reservations. They have their own, you know what I'm saying, law enforcement in general. And I'm like, okay, so because they have their own law enforcement, they don't really get in trouble with the law. And that's the same thing that's going on with black people. Black people, because we have other people enforcing our areas, we're constantly in trouble. We're constantly going through situations. We're constantly profiled and stopped. And it's because you get people from other races to, you know, basically police our communities, and they come in afraid because of, you know, what society has painted black people as. They come in afraid. They come in like, oh, these guys are, you know, bigger, stronger, faster, and more violent than anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, like one of the things I really have an issue with is black on black crime. That term in general is an issue because we don't say white on white crime. We don't say Asian on Asian crime. We don't say anything like that. And to be honest with you, if you look at statistics, most races attack the other race because they're around that race.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what do you think about that?
If I totally agree with that, and I was actually gonna, you know, add to that, and you know, I feel the same way. Like, I don't think if you have a community living like in a certain area or ghetto, we're not really integrated as far as, you know, blacks and whites and Chinese and stuff like that very often. So of course you're gonna have a black person killing a black person and not a white person killing the black person. That's rare. You know, just like if that's the case, you would say there's white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime. It's all who lives in that area.
Exactly.
You know,
and those terms are not coined, but black on black crime you hear constantly, and that's why I have an issue with it, because it's also painting a picture of
us
black
being
people.
Savages.
Exactly, and
when you know they have other races have a lot of crime, or they're doing the same thing or worse.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, you know, it's all about perception. And you know, if you look back in history, just in general, like the movie Birth of a Nation, that movie in itself basically set out a whole idea of black people that, you know what I'm saying, certain things, a lot of things in that movie weren't factual, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But because people seen this and that's their perception, they kind of go off that. Like for instance, a YouTuber that I follow, Kev on Stage, he was talking about how he used to watch a TV show called Sons of Anarchy, and I love that show. I ain't gonna lie, that show was fire. You know what I'm saying?
Badass,
amazing. But he started thinking like, because he watched it constantly, whatever. He seen a biker gang, he thought, oh, these guys are gonna do something wrong. And he was like, why did I think that? Because you constantly watch Sons of Anarchy, because you see this as these biker gangs are bad guys, sell drugs, sell guns, do all this stuff. You all make it assume anytime you see a biker gang that they're doing
bad.
this. Exactly. So if they're doing that, if that happened with Sons of Anarchy, what does that happen with black people? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you got to look at how we're also portrayed in the media too. For example, Chris Watts. They painted him to be like a family man when he murdered his unborn child, his wife, and his 2 little girls. And, you know, they made him seem like, oh, you know, he just made a mistake. What would make him snap? But if a black person sells drugs and those drugs happen to kill somebody, they're going to, you know, pull up his rap sheet, say that he's been this. They have rap sheets on the person from since they were 7, first being in the juvenile system. And, you know, their bond is set higher, you know. So the system is not really made for us. And, you know, going back to the topic of us creating our black communities, I feel like there's some pros and cons to that because look at Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, look at all the other places that were, you know, communities that had black excellence, and look at how the government sabotaged them. I would say that would be the only con that I would feel or I would fear, because I don't think that they would allow that for too long. They're going to want either they're going to want a cut of the money, or, you know, they just can't stand to see black people actually building our own community, you know. So I feel like things can go wrong for sure. And I don't know what they're going to say about policing, you know. It's a lot of factors that you can add into that, you know.
I think my thing, and here's my thing, right? 2 things. One, I totally agree. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, right? I love the idea of Black City. Yeah. I think that's amazing. But you also got to remember, a bunch of black people are coming to the same area. Right. So if they wanted, not to say they would, and we, you know, obviously now history has stated that, you know what I'm saying, when black people come together, they tend to find a way to destroy it. Exactly. So what's to stop them again from destroying all these black cities? You know what I'm saying? What's to stop them again? Like, again, people are like, oh, you know, we're all woke now, and everybody just, you know, like there's videos and stuff. But let's be honest, you know, even though there are videos, like the murders of Breonna Taylor, like, they're not arrested yet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, recently, also, to shed light on that, they also made the boyfriend take a plea deal to say that Breonna Taylor was a part of the drug ring, and she really wasn't.
I heard of that. I heard of that.
No, it's legit. They really did. They put the court documents out there, you know, and I don't even know how to feel about that. And, you know, other people at the time that little boy got shot, unfortunately, you know, God rest his soul, but they were saying, oh, they wanted justice, white lives matter, when the guy was locked up immediately. And he's set to be on trial. Most likely he'll get life or the execution.
And that's the thing. And that's one thing that I'm very hesitant about, is that, like I said, at the end of the day, they can just wipe out a massive amount of black people because they're all in the same area.
And it would be easier because we will all be together.
Exactly.
You know?